welcome to Today in Woburn. I'm your host, Samantha Stone, and we have a jam-packed show. We have lots of little segments. We're going to go through tons of stuff that's happening in the city of Woburn. And as always, we're going to start with our mayor, Scott Galvin. Thank you very much. And just because you all are seeing this, my husband was kind enough to bring me a glass of water so that I've been losing my voice a little bit today. So hopefully I won't have any frogs in my throat, but if I do, I'll be ready. So welcome, Scott. I'm really glad that you're able to join me on Tuesday. I hope you had
it's good.
relaxation
it's good
yesterday.
To be here. Yeah. How are we doing?
Good, doing really well. So you will not be surprised that I am just like riding cloud nine right now because we closed the fundraiser for the snowshoe fundraiser for the rec program that we were running. Rory has been working with us to raise funds so we could do snowshoe lending for people in the community. It's a great,
nice.
safe outdoor activity for people. And we raised all the money we set in our goal. Woburn people are awesome. Yeah. And Rory's put the flyer together. We'll be able to start lending them out this week. So it's super
where do you get them when you need? I was actually at the golf course, the Woburn Country Club, and I saw a half a dozen people or more with snowshoes on. It looks pretty good.
Yeah, it's awesome. And, you know, we are really lucky. So we have the golf course in Horn Pond and I don't remember what's it over by the McDonald's there behind there. The Greenway is a great place to snowshoe as well. Mary Higgins Park. There's
Spring Hill,
right. There's a ton of stuff, and we'll try and get a map together. But with school vacation week, wanted to try and get it out there. We're still waiting for some of the adult ones to come in that we ordered, but we have a decent supply to get started. So
great, good job. That's great.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that. So. In addition to that, we know we have a city council meeting that will be busy
tonight at 7.
You've got 2 new trustees you're nominating, right?
Yes. Yeah. Thanks for some of your input. I appreciate that too.
Yeah. No, we've got great folks. I think we're really looking forward to that. I think that will be great. The other thing that I wanted to talk through was where we are with COVID data. So the city website, we now have a new view that looks like it's sort of a state standardized data presentation layer, which is, I think, actually looks at more data points than we were looking at before, which is great. But I'm not sure if everybody's using it and like filtering down to Woburn. So give us a quick update about how we're looking right now. It looks like our positivity rate is much lower.
Yeah, positivity rate went down into the 3s, just under mid 3.3, 3.5 in that area, which is definitely heading in the right direction. Case count has gone way down. And I think that's, I don't want to say that's anything that we're doing specifically. I think that, you see it's heading in that direction across the country. And it seems to be, we all knew that when the numbers were going way up, it was because of the holidays and people getting together. But, now the numbers are coming down in unison across the state and across the country, and particularly here in Woburn, which we're happy about. And again, it's one of those things that you still have to continue to wear your mask. You still have to do the social distancing, all the good things that you do to help bring those numbers down. You have to continue doing. And, the vaccine rollout is definitely going to help. We've been having, we've done our first responders. They've all got their second shot, which is great. The second shot of Moderna. We've been able to hold clinics to vaccinate our 75 plus. So the 75 plus, we've vaccinated about 425, which is really good. Saves the seniors the trip down to Gillette Stadium or over to Fenway, which are both nice places, but some of the seniors are averse to traveling. So we've been really happy to be able to offer that service to our seniors. We've got another one scheduled for Saturday for 200. We're just keeping an eye on the storm for the end of the week, but we've got that going. So we've got 200 people will be vaccinating, 200 seniors over 75, 1 to 5 at the senior center. So we'll be putting that link out, spread the word if you know any seniors who would like to go. We've got a number of openings, so we'd like to get them all filled up. We're also doing the testing, which has been a great service to not only the city employees, but also to our residents. So we're going to continue doing that. And it's Kelly will tell you, I think that's gone over really well with the teachers and our employees. So we're happy to offer that service weekly as well. So it's helped,
Great. I love it. I do want to ask a couple of, comment, I guess, a couple of things, just make sure that we're all on the same page. So the state will allow a companion to go with someone 75 plus to the mass vaccination site. So that's the places like in Danvers and Fenway and Gillette. at the Board of Health, we're only immunizing people who are 75 plus. I just want to clarify that for folks.
That's right, just 75 plus, because we get a limited allocation, and so we're trying to do the 75 pluses. We'd love to take the caretakers, but we don't have enough vaccines, so we're concentrating on the seniors. And we're optimistic that we're going to continue, to get vaccines from the Commonwealth so we can offer it to 65s. We're working with, Matt Crowley and the school nurses and Karen DeCampo to work something out for the teachers, because we find that is really one of the most important groups. Everybody's important. Everybody is important. The vaccine, everybody should get it, but we want to get it to the teachers. We want to get our kids back to school, get parents who aren't able to work full time because of some of the restrictions with the hybrid. We want everybody, to get back to normal. And that's an important piece of that, is to get our teachers and our principals and all the administrators vaccinated as soon as we can.
There was some communications, I know, as a patient of Leahy Hospital, and my regular physician outside Leahy communicated out to say, we originally thought we were getting supplies that had been redirected to the mass vaccination sites, and encouraging everybody to, sort of go that direction, at least for the time being. Has any of that policy affected our ability for the Board of Health to get the supply that you've been counting on for the seniors or the other folks who might need it in the community?
As of this point, no. And I'll preface that because our friends in Burlington, I know they've had, a rough time with it. They had a vaccination shipment that didn't get to them. My friend who's the mayor up in Peabody, same thing happened to them. So we haven't seen that yet, and knock on wood, we won't. We still received the vaccine that we requested. It's been confirmed. We don't have it in hand, but it was confirmed that on Saturday we'll be getting 200 doses. So, we'll keep going until otherwise noted. But I think that there's going to be so much vaccinations and so much vaccine out there that this bottleneck will dry up, and the state's going to need the local boards to work to keep providing that extra space that people are comfortable going to and don't want to travel. So we plan on being a partner in this with the Commonwealth until it's completed. And I think that all local boards are an integral part to getting everybody vaccinated.
Great. We also know that this week is school vacation week, which means some people are traveling. It also means that lots of people have bored children at home and are trying to entertain them. We worked really hard to make some protections, and during the holidays, make sure people were doing things to be safe and such. Is there anything in particular you want the community to know about this week, and then the coming back to school next week, to help continue to keep us all vigilant and safe?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same message that we've been giving, is that you can't let your guard down, because the vaccine's out. It really is going to help, but in the meantime, we still have to keep social distance, keep the mask wearing when you're, keep mask wearing out in public, and good hygiene. It's important to do, and we've come this far, so let's keep it up, and that way we can have a normal spring and summer.
Amen to that. I'm looking forward to doing that. So excellent. Anything else you want to update us on before we go over to some other topics?
No, I think over the next couple of weeks, we've talked about we can broaden our horizons, hopefully with not just COVID talk, but there other things going on in the city, and particularly the spring coming up, a lot of recreational stuff, budget stuff's coming up. The fire station will have a lot of good things to talk about. Hopefully the groundbreaking will be in the middle of April, but so we can talk about some of those other things. But until then, we'll get back to you tomorrow. I'm sure you'll be watching tonight with the library. Hopefully,
Yeah, I think it will be great. We'll definitely talk about it next week, just sort of the outcome of it. I am very much looking forward to those discussions. I did sit in on part of the trustee meeting this morning, and there was definitely some questions that came up about expenditures and things. I don't think that will be covered in the city council meeting tonight, but I know that those are things the community cares deeply about. And so we appreciate you continuing to keep us in the loop and move forward with progress there. And I also just want to note that last time we spoke, we asked about excise bills, and like clockwork, Scott, all of mine. So we have
Yeah.
6 adults with 6 cars in my family. They showed up at my door like the next day. So I don't know if somebody was listening in and
Yeah,
says Samantha needs to spend her money now or what.
I just paid 2 of them yesterday, so I feel your pain a little bit.
It's all good. I'm
Yep.
not complaining. We have lots of cars and I need to do it, but I thought it was great timing. So thank you so much, Scott, for joining
Yep.
us.
Okay.
Really
Thanks,
appreciate
guys.
it.
See you later.
Great. I want to invite Phil from Social Capital Inc. To join us now. Phil's going to talk to us a little bit about some of the programming that Social Capital Inc. has been running this month in support and celebration and honoring Black History Month and the work that's being there. Welcome, Phil.
Hi, Samantha. Welcome to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
I'm so glad that you're here. So, I'm not sure everybody is very familiar with how Social Capital Inc. is structured in AmeriCorps and how all those things work. So maybe tell us a little bit about your role and all the great work that you do, and then we'll talk a little bit about the specific programming.
Sure. So my particular role is the program director for our SCI AmeriCorps program. SCI has been running their AmeriCorps program for since 2007, and we partner with Greater Boston nonprofits, and we place 25 members there each year between September and June to serve in capacity building roles, either on the volunteer outreach side or the youth leadership development side. So along with that, obviously, one of our major partners is the Boys and Girls Club here in Woburn. And I am not a Woburn resident right now, but did grow up in Woburn. And so part of the excitement of joining SCI back in 2019 was the opportunity to not only run the AmeriCorps program, but also get a chance to really have a hand in doing some positive things in my hometown. So that's a little bit the truncated version, but SCI does do a lot of programming in and around the Woburn area, which you'll hear about shortly.
I love it, and I'm so glad that you came home to roost and to help support the community. I think a lot of people are familiar with SCI because of the work helping seniors, shoveling, and there has certainly been calls for help with some food, emergency food delivery, and lots of other things. It's a really broad base. I'm not sure everybody knows what AmeriCorps is. So, AmeriCorps is a year of service that is available for individual people. I will do a terrible job explaining what that means. So why don't I just give you a moment, because I think it's an incredible opportunity for folks, and we're so fortunate to actually have AmeriCorps program sort of based and structured here in Woburn.
Sure. Yeah, it's a little bit complicated to understand. It's definitely a complicated program, but a quick and dirty way to think about it is kind of like the domestic Peace Corps. But the major differences because the federal government actually runs a Peace Corps and liaison places people around the world. In terms of AmeriCorps, the federal government actually disperses funds to the states and their state commissions, who then disperse funds to AmeriCorps programs who apply for these grants. So it's more decentralized, but it allows for a greater range of different types of programs. So ours is particularly involved with youth, but there are conservation AmeriCorps programs. There's kind of disaster response AmeriCorps programs. There's like strictly education based in schools, and also towns and municipalities can also get AmeriCorps members to serve like in their own towns and their city government. So it's really awesome. It's really great opportunities. I definitely will, I would say, encourage both if you're graduating high school or you want to take a year off from college or something, definitely explore AmeriCorps. It's a great opportunity to kind of really get involved, gain some professional experience, and start to build your network, which is really important. And if anyone wants to just reach out to me, honestly, we have our program and we'll be hiring for that later on this spring. But if you just want to talk and get some more information, happy to connect with anybody on an individual level.
I love it. Thank you so much for doing it. It's such a great opportunity. Tell us a little bit about some of the programming that you have going on this month. I think there's been some really wonderful things. I'd love to make sure everybody knows about them.
Yeah, sure. So it's been really exciting. Obviously, this whole past year has been really tough on everybody, but it's been really awesome to be a part of helping to um, help people and be a part of the solution and helping us move forward, and especially this spring. So one of the major things that actually has just started was a partnership with the Network for Social Justice based in Winchester. And we are together putting on the Disrupting Racism. It's a 3-part learning series. So last Tuesday, I do have to say and give a plug. So it's facilitated by Leora Norwich, who is the executive director of the Network for Social Justice, but it's also co-facilitated by our Woburn resident, who's also my mother, Hermaine Gordon. Some of you may know her because she works at the library. So it's really awesome to be able to kind of collaborate with her on a professional level. And so last Tuesday was the first part of that discussion. We did get a lot of signups, so there are over 35 attendees. Next week is going to be part 2, and then it's going to wrap up on March 9th with the 3rd part. So it's been really exciting. It's definitely got some really good community engagement from both Winchester and Woburn, but also there are definitely some people around the country that have joined. And so that's really exciting. Another thing that we're doing that's been really great, I've worked with a couple of our AmeriCorps members to put this on, is we're calling it the Black History Month Film Fridays. So last Friday, we actually had, I think, around 10 participants. We watched Tuskegee Airmen at War. It's actually a free documentary by Lucasfilm. You can just Google that. I highly recommend you watching it. There's a 60 and 90-minute version. And we watched that on Fridays and facilitated discussion afterwards. And this coming Friday, we're going to be watching A Time for Burning, which is a documentary in the 1960s. That's really great. Again, we'll be facilitating that discussion after we watch the documentary film at 6 p.m. And then it's going to culminate in Traces of the Trade showing and discussion, calling it like a dinner and a movie type deal. And that is happening on Friday, the 26th. Also at 6 p.m. That's going to go a little bit later because that film is longer. So that's going to go till 9. And definitely highly encourage even families to sign up. We're having a really great partnership to really push this forward with a local Black and female owned catering company. Some of you may know them, Gourmet Creole. So they are actually offering both chicken and vegetable plate options in either a single portion, dinner for 2, or dinner for 4. So
oh my gosh, my mouth is watering. I am so hungry already thinking about it. What a great program. Where do people sign up for it? Where do they register?
So you can register at various places. If you follow us on social media, either at Social Cap or at SCI Woburn, we'll definitely, you'll see your post or either now or throughout the rest of this week and next week. But you can also find it at sciwoburn.org, and there will be registrations for those. And then I'm happy to also kind of send you all the information and the flyers so that people have that information as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Lauren, our producer, will make sure that gets added into the show as well. And I love that you're supporting a business as well as helping to educate us and, encouraging really important dialogue for all of us to have. That's great.
Yeah, it's been awesome to be able to do this right now. And I mean, I think one of the things we've really leaned in at SCI is, even though we had to be virtual, I think there are a lot of different ways and opportunities to still try and connect and educate, like you said. So to be able to really actually do it now, even though it's taken a lot of hard work and some learning along the way, is exciting. We're hoping to just, as we move back and can actually start to congregate again, to really take this momentum and keep it going.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I'm so thrilled that you are and sharing these really great programs. I now have to have chicken for dinner. I want you to know. I don't know where I'm going to order from. I'm going to order some things. I wasn't planned ahead, but I'm definitely going to take advantage of that dinner and a movie offer. And that sounds really awesome. Appreciate it.
Great. Thank you so much for having me, Samantha.
Yeah, excellent. I want to invite Kelly into the conversation. Kelly Hurley is one of our teachers at a kindergarten teacher, and she has been doing some really fantastic programming around Black History Month in her kindergarten classroom. And I want to give her the chance to tell us a little bit about that. I'm so glad you're here, Kelly.
Hi, thank you. And Philip, it was very exciting to hear you because I am in the Disrupting Racism workshop series. And it's really great information, and it all started for me. I mean, I think I like to think of myself as a kind, compassionate person to be an educator of young children. It's so important to be educated myself and to continue my path of education. So I think I really appreciate this workshop and addressing educational inequity course they took with a lot of Woburn teachers, and I'm just reading and learning as I go. So I'm still learning as I teach my students. And so we've been having fun as much as when I see my kids on hybrid days and the parents are doing things at home as well. I think that African-American history and culture should be taught throughout the school year, and I think it is, but I think Black History Month is a great opportunity to highlight and bring more attention to Black history, which for a long time has been marginalized. So I think it's so important. Ways I do it with young children, and part of this is still my learning process of how explicit and not explicit to be. So one thing we do is read a lot of books, and some of the books they may feature significant historical figures, but it also may just be a story about African-American child or their families doing normal things. So we have a whole range of things. And so we're reading a lot of books. And also I had given an optional activity for parents at home, and I gave a nice book list that had a real range of stories. And some really are more explicit, and it gives parents an opportunity to have discussions with their children. And the optional activity was to do a little book report, and kids could record what they read and what they learned from it. And I'm so happy at how many of my students and families are doing this together. So it's not just in my classroom, but it's transcended into the community. I think that's wonderful. So we're doing that. We put up posters all over the school of important historical Black people. And I've noticed even the fifth graders with clipboards coming and looking and recording and bringing information back to their classroom. And my students are so excited. They'll say, "Oh, Mrs. Hurley, look, who's that? Who's that?" And they ask me, and they're curious. And it's good for my students of color because it mirrors themselves. They get to see themselves. And it's good, obviously, for everybody to see who's out there. And we're also doing a lot with music. I do a lot of music all year long. That's one of my passions. So I've also been really highlighting some important musicians. And the kids love it. And we're singing and dancing. I'm just trying to think. We've just been trying to fill up our curriculum.
I love it, and I'm really glad. And a couple of things you said I want to just point out. So I'm really glad that you mentioned books. In addition to what you're doing in the classroom, I know the Woburn Public Library does have a display in honor of Black History Month with celebrating various authors and stories and things. So people certainly should welcome this. And I just have to tell you, when I let a few folks know that you would be on the show, universally, all of them told me, "She's the one who sings when I came in to read a book and plays the guitar." So your music really has an impact on your students, but also all the guests that come into your classroom. And I'm sure you're probably not bringing guests in the same way this year as you have in years past. But
well, we will be beginning mystery reader via Zoom into the classroom, so that'll be fun.
Exciting! Oh, that's so exciting. Well, I'm so glad. Now, what school do you work in?
I work at the Reeves Kindergarten. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming in. One last question for you. How much of this, of the program and the things you're doing in the classroom are sort of coordinated across schools? I imagine every classroom is a little bit different, but are there some things that are consistent across the classrooms?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that it's a little trickier. I'm amazed by the coordination that's happened during COVID in general. And I'm meeting with teachers in some ways that I've never had the opportunity to do. And I'm hoping that we learn from that and we carry that over. So I'm meeting with other kindergarten teachers. And so we're having discussions really about it. It's not in learning from each other and incorporating as much as we can. So I think there's still some individuality in it and still some growth to do, but we're really beginning, we're really doing the work. And I think I see it. I see it when I walk around my classroom and when I hear people, when I'm joining these workshops with Woburn educators. So yeah.
Oh, it's okay. Thank you so much for joining us, Kelly. And thank you for, being a teacher in a really difficult year and still bringing joy and wonder to the classroom, like just describing the students and how excited they are. And that's a real gift. So we thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
I'd like to invite Mary to the conversation. Mary's with the Council of Social Concern, and we have a telethon coming up to raise money. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yes, we do. Thanks to WPMC, who is actually in charge of putting it out on TV for us, which is great. It's our 12th annual telethon. We've been doing it for 12 years, since 2009, and WPMC has been part of it every year. It's wonderful. It really is. Although last year and this year, because of COVID, it's not quite as exciting. It's exciting, but we are not meeting in person with all of the guests. And we usually range anywhere between 30 and 40 guests during the telethon, it's fabulous. The community really comes out and supports us. It's fun. It's kind of, if you picture a Jerry Lewis telethon, that's what we do. And it is a lot of fun. So this year, actually last year we did do it in person at WPMC. This year we'll be doing it as a Zoom, a virtual event. And we'll be hosting it here at the agency at 2 Merrimack Street. WPMC will be coming in and running it for us. The guests we have 33 guests coming on. 2 of them are our hosts. And I think our hosts are pretty well known in Woburn and Winchester. It will air out in Woburn and Winchester on Sunday from 12 noon until 2 p.m. Tyler Gates from Woburn, and Rich Mucci, who is the president of our board of directors, and he's from Winchester. He'll be our other host, and together they'll greet city council members, school committee members, people from Winchester. There are some pastors from churches coming in. The Mayor Galvin will be joining us. So, and they'll all talk about what's going on in their circle. Kathy Lucero from the Woburn Historical Society, and
you're not going to make it like a talent show, and you're not going to make them sing and dance and the little talents, right?
The very first telethon, we actually did do that. And what we did was broke it down between the auditorium, the gymnasium, and WPMC studio. And we were in all 3 spots. There were lots of things going on, but it was difficult. And we didn't get a chance to talk. So this is a good opportunity for not only people telling us why they support our agency, either through volunteering or through donations, but also for us to learn about what are they doing out, and what you're doing, Samantha, is, finding out what's going on in your circle. And it's a great opportunity for that. So
I love it. And I think a lot of people in the community are really familiar with the food pantry. I imagine it has been in high need this year. It's always in need, but particularly high need right now, I can imagine.
Right.
One of the things that I particularly love about the food pantry is that it doesn't have a set of requirements. If you say you need help, we help you get food.
Absolutely.
And that is a gift that we can give the community and to support them. I see, I did it. Social concern. See, I was looking at Phil while I said it. I caught myself.
So we're CSC.
All these wonderful organizations. Social concern does more than just a food pantry, though. So I thought it might be helpful to just make sure everyone's familiar with the organization.
Yes, we do. And for many years, we've been in, the agency's been around since 1969, and we have changed as you know, as the world changes, as the community changes, we have changed as well. And we've offered programs that will help people now. So we have 2 childcare programs. One is center-based, and it's right here at 2 Merrimack Street. And the other is family childcare, which we subcontract family childcare educators. They work out of their homes. Some children do better in a center-based setting, and some children do better in a home setting. A lot of the children that we serve are, we call them supportive families, that they are referred from DCF. But we also, we serve many children from families where there's 1 or 2 parents that are working, but they are still under, I guess, financially they need the help. And so we're here to do that. We probably have a little over 100 children in both of our programs combined. We also have a parenting education program, which is starting up again. We stopped it for a while because of COVID, but now we're going to be reaching out and offering a parenting education group for parents of children from birth to 5 years old, and then from 5 years, parents of 5-year-olds to 12-year-olds. So it's 2 different programs, and they will be virtual, and they will be on the schedule of the parent, so they can go in and learn when it's good for them to do so. It'll be a great thing to see happen, because we haven't been able to reach out because of COVID. We don't let any community into the building, and I'll explain food pantry for you if you're wondering how are we doing that. So
yeah, you know what? Tell us, because it's really important and you are keeping people safe. So tell us a little bit about how you're doing the food pantry.
Yeah, Paula Matthews is the director of the food pantry, and she's been doing a fantastic job. We were serving people, letting them come in with masks on for a little while. And then, there were a couple of cases where we heard, gee, somebody might have had COVID or might not have. And immediately she decided to close the door. The volunteers still come in on Mondays and Wednesdays, and they sort through the food that is donated, and we keep it safe for them inside. When the clients they come by appointment, and we don't ask for income verification. You were right. We don't ask any questions. Where do you live? We make sure that they live in Woburn or Winchester. And if they live outside the city, we always serve them the first time and then give them information where to go in the city they live. So what Paula does now is greet them at the door. They have an appointment scheduled. She gives them a box, not just a box of food, but bags of food. She gives them meats. She gives them dairy. She gives them vegetables, fresh vegetables, and baked goods. And out the door they go, and a gift certificate so that it can help out the family to buy what we weren't able to give them. We can do that because over the last, forever, actually, we have donors that are just amazing, but it has been beyond amazing over the last 6 months with, from July on, how much we're getting in. People know that our numbers are up. People are looking to us for help. And so the donations are coming in.
Well, I'm so happy to hear that. Woburn tends to get together for each other. So this is another way of doing that. Lauren, I'm sure will put up the telephone information for us so that those who want to tune in can do that, but also where to donate and contribute so you can continue to do this good hard work.
Absolutely. And if you would like to donate during the telethon, you can call in our phone number, 781-935-6495, and somebody will take your donation for the telethon. And yeah, we just want to thank both communities of Woburn and Winchester on the food pantry end, because Winchester numbers they're up as well.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Mary. I'm so glad. We're going to wrap up.
Having me.
Of course, and good luck on the telethon. We'll be sure to support that. And we're going to wrap up today with Justine and Noah Thomas, and we're talking all about the arts. So there has been so much going on in our community. Welcome, Justine and Noah. I'm glad to have you.
Hi, thanks.
We're glad to be here.
Excellent. So you guys are not just hanging out on the couch together because we randomly selected you. You tell us a little bit about yourselves and your ties to the community. I know that Justine, you work on the Horn Pond Review, correct? And Noah, you are involved in the theater department at the high school. Am I correct on that?
Right, yeah.
Great. And you share a last name, so because you're married, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so I lived in Woburn for a little bit before we got married, but we got married and lived in Lowell for a while and then moved back to Woburn. He is a Midwest transplant, and I lived all over Massachusetts and even overseas for a while, but we just really love the Woburn community, and so we've been living here now for about 4 years.
Yep.
And we both work at Woburn High School. So he runs the theater program, and I'm a social worker in the special ed department. And so, yeah, during the pandemic, we kind of started the Horn Pond Review, and we'll talk a little bit more about that, but I'll let you ask your question.
No, I love it. I'm so glad that you're both here. I'm a transplant to Woburn as well, although I've been here now 25 years. So I'm starting to forget my pre-Woburn days, and it's definitely something, but it's a fabulous community, and we're really glad that you're here. Tell us a little bit about the Horn Pond Review. This edition is different than the last one you did, and I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, so we released our first edition in the late fall, early winter, and that was for all ages, and so you can find it at hornpondreview.com. It's free, and so we're a literary magazine that's based in Woburn, but we had contributors from Scotland, from Nigeria, from all over the world. The thing that kind of makes us unique is that everybody who's on the editorial board is connected to Woburn in some way. So we have people from the school committee. Both of us are teachers. There's another middle school teacher. There's people who worked at the library. And so we're all kind of connected to Woburn in some way, but our contributors are from all over the world, which we were really excited to have people from even different countries, not just different towns. So this issue that our reading period is open until March 13th. Is for writers and artists who are 18 and under only. And so we've gotten Woburn students. We have some students from like Portland, Oregon. We have, running the ages from I think our youngest contributor so far is 4 years old all the way up to 17, 18 years old. So a huge variety of different ages. But we're really excited about it. So it's a little bit different. Our editing process is a little bit different too. We're definitely, for the first edition, not taking age into consideration at all, but obviously now, with that range of ages, kind of looking at, what a 4-year-old might be capable of versus a 17-year-old. So it's been a fun process so far, and we're hoping that edition will come out in May, and then we'll open up for our normal Horn Pond Review, all ages, again in the summer, and hopefully put out another issue in the fall. So.
I love it. So my mother and I was looking through some stuff to find pictures from my mom, and I found my old literary review from high school where I thought I had the most brilliant poet on the planet. And I looked at it, I was really bad. The submissions must have been, low that much, but what a fun thing to look through. It's really just such a touching way to look at people's stories, but also to just explore and encourage creativity in our community and beyond, whether you're just reading and consuming it and getting different formats than maybe we normally do, or you're contributing directly through a submission. So I love that. And Noah, we have a student-run performance coming up, right?
Right, yeah. So, I think probably, people are sort of maybe generally aware that, you know, some huge industries have shut down almost overnight. I mean, really, if you go back to last March, you know, any kind of live performance venue, you know, got shut down. And so, you know, I've got personal friends who just were out of work, you know, who'd worked for decades, who just were out of work overnight. And so I think in some sense, it's a special thing to be able to still do some performing arts at the high school level because everything else is kind of shut down. Another thing is at the same time, kids are really, kids really want to have that community because the community aspect of school is almost been taken away, you know, even though we are, you know, in this hybrid mode. Sometimes it's remote, sometimes it's in person. Really, a lot of that social community has kind of gone away too. So when it comes to the show that's being mounted, the kids who are involved in it, there's a cast and crew of about 35 kids who are involved in this from the high school, and they have just thrown themselves into this thing because they're excited to work on something. They're excited to have some kind of community, you know, that's wrapped around this. As far as the show itself goes, it's fairly short. It runs about 40 minutes because it's a one act, but it's a comedy. So, I mean, you know, I think one of the antidotes to like the winter blues in general is to be able to laugh. But especially in this time when things are just sort of brutal at times, a comedy is a nice way to lighten things up and deal with the absurdity of everything that we're dealing with. So it's a comedy, and the reason I bring that up is that there is really like this sort of I kind of, when I talk to people about this show or about Woburn theater students, there's really kind of like an embarrassment of riches when it comes to talented and funny kids who live in Woburn. There's like just like this comedy powerhouse. I don't know what it is, but like
we just breed funny. I don't, you know, we just make fun of ourselves. It's all the orange cones and the coyotes around town, right? It just gets us.
Yeah, there are a lot of really, really funny and talented kids. And so like, that's really kind of one of the things that's being showcased in this particular show. So it's a lighthearted comedy. It's called Help Desk, a stay-at-home play by Don Zalitas. And it's a series of vignettes of calls, like, you know, it's customer service calls basically. And it runs a gamut from everything from somebody trying to get more data for their phone to, you know, somebody who decided as a pandemic project to, you know, buy some bees because she wanted fresher honey, but now she has this bee problem in her home. So like, it's all these kind of absurd situations, and it's over the last few months it's been rehearsed, and now this week they're finalizing all the recordings. There's a very talented group of students who has taken over directing and designing and stage managing and doing all the aspects of that production. I've been involved in terms of being there as a coach and a supervisor to make sure things are, you know, running smoothly and kind of smooth out problems that are faced in the production. Justine's also been involved as, because she has a theater background too. And she's been involved in some of the technical aspects of the show. So I'm very excited about it. It's not like a 90-minute play or anything, but it is, it's full of laughs.
I love it. I think it sounds fabulous. So I can't help but think of that British comedy, the IT Crowd, which is sort of a setting of and it's very funny, and it's sort of the absurdity of Help Desk. I know this is slightly different than that, but I can't help it. And I'm really touched by it. So I had two of my children who are now graduating, but they were on tech crew, and theater was really a special experience for them in Woburn High. One of them is unfortunately studying theater tech at a college program right now in upstate New York, which is terrible timing. But they are, we know that theater will come back, and what a wonderful way for you to help these students come together and do something creative and collaborative in a safe environment. So I hope lots of people are able to watch it. And Lauren will go ahead and put on location for people to get tickets, right? There's a way to register for it.
The date, there's just one night only. And it's, even though it's pre-recorded, it's being live streamed. So that date is February 27th, which is a Saturday. It's coming right up. and it's at 7 p.m. And if you want to buy tickets, there are a couple places that are the best place to go. There's a Twitter account, which is Woburn HS Theater. And there's also Woburn HS Theater on Facebook. So Facebook and Twitter both are good places to look. And we'll throw that up on the screen. But there are links to where you can buy tickets in each of those places.
I love it. And the funds for it, does it go towards a theater program, or what do those funds go towards?
Yeah, the funds go to a couple of things. They go to, so we have to pay money for the rights, to, like, royalties for performances anytime we do a show like this. So part of the funds go to recovering the money that was put into that, and anything that is beyond that goes back into the theater program. Yeah.
And we did want to make sure that anybody could watch it. So there's there's like a $0. So if funds are an issue, we know it's really difficult right now during the pandemic. Still, you can register and not pay anything and have access to it.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different monetary options. You can pay $0, you can pay $25, you can pay more than that if you want, and people have. So it's been great so far.
Thank you so much, and I'm really glad that we have that option for families or individuals who want to be able to partake in it. Thank you all for joining me. I think this episode really reminds us how interesting and how much is happening in our city, and it's easy to forget all the hard work that's going into this programming and these changing things from in-person to virtual experience. So all of you, from classrooms to telethons to educational programs to Friday movie nights, dinners and movies to theater programs, is such a rich opportunity for us to live in Woburn. So thank you all. And for those of you who are watching, please continue to take good care of each other as always.